Hello and welcome everyone to AnubhavTrainings.com. In this series of videos, we are discussing about automated regression testing of Fiori application. In this part 6 of the video, we will discuss about how to navigate to our Fiori applications using SAP Fiori Launchpad and our test automation script. In the last couple of videos, we have discussed about setting up our development environment, launching the SAP Fiori Launchpad, and also bypassing the login screen through an automated script. So let's understand how a Fiori app navigation typically works in an SAP system. So there are two ways Fiori Launchpad navigates to the Fiori application. So let's understand these two ways, and we will learn how to automate the navigation through both of these approaches. So there are two approaches to navigate to an application. The first approach is called by clicking on a tile, and the second approach is by using semantic or something called intent-based navigation. An intent-based navigation is composed of two parts, semantic object and action. We'll discuss this in the next video. Our current focus is to look at clicking on the tile and navigating to the app. So let's go to the application and understand which tile we want to click. As you can see on this screen, in my Fiori Launchpad, I have two tiles, and I would like to click on, let's say, the first tile. Now, what do we think is a unique identifier for this particular tile? The unique identifier could be this particular title, which is unique across all the apps. But we are still not sure because there may be more apps and more tiles at the bottom, which can probably have the same title. So I would like to test, or I would like to write my test based on multiple identifiers, not just one identifier. So the first identifier here is to check AnubhavTrainings.com. But as we look forward for AnubhavTrainings.com, we are going to receive more than one tiles. And then later point of time, once you receive both the tiles, you can probably check for one of the tile and click on it by its order. So as we can see, the first tile is at position number 1 and second tile is at position number 2. So first, our logic is to identify all the tiles which has AnubhavTrainings.com, and probably the very first one which we find, we are going to go and perform the click, and ultimately it is going to navigate to our application under test. The second important thing to note here is that we need to also make sure of loading time. As you have observed, when I log in for the first time, it takes quite some time, or in fact about 10 to 12 seconds to load all my tiles. Now this can be dangerous to your automation script code because in Java, it's a sequential execution. So when your code starts, it is going to go and log into your app immediately. And after this login, whatever code we write over here, so suppose I'm going to write some code to click on tile, and this code will immediately trigger. Of course, after login, system will try to trigger this code in a sequential execution. But what so happened that my app would have not loaded by far. Since the tile itself is not loaded, the code which you write to click on the tile may not work. It cannot find the element. So maybe we need to add some kind of logic to wait until my tiles groups or tiles are loaded on the screen. So this is a dynamic wait. We will also learn how to control that using Selenium Wait API. And only then we will proceed further to be able to click on the tile. So first I will show you the issue which arises once you try to click on the tile. It will fail. It will give you an error. And then later we will add this dynamic wait to make it work seamlessly. So let's go ahead and now identify what could be a good identifier to first find these tiles. Again, this time we will first time use the XPaths because IDs are not sufficient enough. As I can quickly go back and show you what's the ID this tile has. So let's click inspect, investigate, and you can see it contains an ID, something like this, which I cannot trust because this is kind of a number which keeps on changing. You can probably try loading this app in another browser and cross-check. So what could be another identifier? I would foresee AnubhavTrainings.com could be another identifier for us. But as you can see, the text of this tile is not just having Anubhav Trainings, but it also has something else. So I wanted to first do a pattern lookup, a pattern search to find all the tiles which contains the text, as AnubhavTrainings.com. Once I find them, I would pick up one of them and click. Now to do this XPath creation, I have also added another powerful Chrome tool called XPath Finder. So I can right away test my XPaths as part of my browser directly. So just go ahead to the Chrome tools, Chrome extensions, and add it to your Chrome browser. Once you add it, and when you press F12 or go to developer toolbar, you're going to see this tool over here. So let's try to build an XPath to find our tile which contains AnubhavTrainings.com. So if you go back again to the DOM, you would see that there is a div element, and this div element contains the text as AnubhavTrainings.com. So the tag of the element is div we are looking, and the property we are looking where the text contains AnubhavTrainings.com. So for that, let's see how can we build an XPath and test it here. So I'm going to search //div, and the moment you can see I say filter, it's going to filter all the divs on the entire screen. You see, there's so many of them. So of course that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to go back and put further filter criteria. I say contains, property name is text, comma, AnubhavTrainings.com, or I would say exact. Yeah, makes sense. So I click on filter, and now it's looking up all the controls on the DOM to find out AnubhavTrainings.com div elements wherever it can find. Wow, there you go. You can see here it has detected exactly 2 elements on the UI. So you can see 2 results. So this could be a potential stable XPath for me to be able to detect these 2 tiles. And of course, then I can go and click on the first item by default, which is my first tile. So I'm going to go back and take this XPath, which I've already tested, and go in here to use this XPath and find my element. Now, as we can anticipate, there are more than one element system could find with this. So I'm going to get both the elements, and then I'm going to probably print the labels of both the elements on the screen on my console. So let's do that. So we can go back and say, now I want to use driver, and my driver object is supposed to be returned from my login Fiori app method. So let me just also add that logic by going inside my initializer method. Let me also do that because I would need this object. So I will just go ahead and in fact it's already returning. I just need to capture this object over here. You can download the complete source code from the description given into the below video. So I'll just put the web driver here. So I've received my driver object, and now we are going to find this element driver dot find elements, and you can see it returns a list of web elements because there can be more than one element it can find. So I can say by XPath, and we're going to pass our XPath which we have just retrieved from there. So just get that. You can go back. This is our XPath. We're going to pass that over here. Superb. So this is going to return now potentially multiple elements. I'm just going to get that. So I can say a list of web elements we are going to get. Let me maximize this. So it's going to return a list of web elements, and I'm going to name it as all elements. So it's going to return you multiple elements over here. list of web elements, and of course this is another Java class, so we just import this Java utils for list, and now we're going to traverse through this list to produce the result. Okay, there's a problem another here, so this is going to be py dot xpath small letter. Yeah, exactly. And now we are receiving here all these elements. Let's also say, yeah, no problem. And I'm going to loop over these elements over here using a for loop, and I'm going to just print the titles on the console. Let's do that. So I say for I is equals to 0. Remember, the index starts with 0 for the web elements. If it finds 10 elements, it will be starting with index 0 up to 9. Dot size of my array I++, and now we are just going to print it on the screen. So I can say system dot out print line, and we are going to pass here our element with ith element, and we will say please get me, or we can say dot get me the ith element, and then you can get the attribute, and the attribute name is, let's say, inner text attribute. So that's the attribute we want to print it on the screen. Superb. Let's go and execute this, but as I already told you, the system is going to hit this piece of code much before the entire application load. Let me also set up a breakpoint and debug and show you. So I'm going to run it in the debug mode. You will see that it will hit our debugger well before the application or the tiles load Fiori Launchpad. That's what will happen. You can see it started, and watch out, the browser is loaded, and we're going to just keep it side by side to show you what's happening. Maybe just minimize the console, and now you see it is on logins page. It has passed the login page, and now the app is loading, and you see it has hit my debugger. So by the time it is hitting this piece of code, my app itself is not loading. So if I press F8 here, you would see this will throw an exception. This will trigger an exception, of course, because now your elements are not yet available on the screen. Yeah? Your objects are not yet available on the screen. So it took some time, and now it is not printing anywhere my labels. It timed out. You see, timed out. So it did not print me my labels of the tile. It cannot find those or cannot look up those elements because the code got executed well before the application load. So we need to add some kind of logic here to be able to manage it. And that logic is basically, again, depends on an element. So we will say that until some element is not visible on screen, I'm going to wait. However, am I going to wait for infinite amount of time? Probably not. I will say I will either wait for an element to be visible, or if at all it is not getting visible, I'm going to wait for another 15 seconds, or maybe let's say 20 seconds. So whichever comes first, that one is going to time out. So if 20 seconds gets over, then I'm not going to further look up. I'm just going to proceed. If element is visible, then I'm going to anyway proceed further without waiting further. So that's the kind of logic we need, and that's where Selenium comes so handy for us. We're going to use Selenium libraries, WebDriver wait library to, or WebDriver wait class to be able to handle this case. So I can say WebDriver wait class, and I say wait new WebDriver wait. Yeah, and then we pass, of course, the driver instance, which is here, and then we can also specify times in seconds. So I say either you look forward for an element, or if it is not, element is not being visible for 20 seconds, you time out this wait. This wait has to come out. You should not remain in infinite wait. So which one of these elements now we're going to click? So we're going to take, maybe it's not a good idea right now to just decide because both of them look same. But we know that at a position level, our first L tile is at index 1. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit the first element and I'm going to click on that. So how do you do that? It's very simple. You can maybe just comment out this piece for now, and we can just simply take the first element, get of item 0, 0th element, and I'm going to say click on that element. So that's what is going to click on the tile, and it's going to load our application which we wanted to load. So this is one way of navigating to your Fiori app. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go back and use this wait. So we'll say wait dot, and we are going to tell the system you need to wait until what? So we're going to put here our condition. Until what time system should wait? System should expect that until the my home is not visible, we should wait here or wait for 20 seconds. So let's put the expected conditions. And then under the expected condition, we will check visibility of element located, and we're going to use locator as by XPath again. And this is the locator we are now going to give. So the locator of my home, how do we get it? We're going to go back to our app. And here you see we already have discussed about Ruto in last session. I'm going to switch on the Ruto. And let me just go ahead and ask Ruto about my home. So I click on my home and now go to Ruto. And you can see this is the XPath for my home. I'm going to copy that and we will put it over here. Now what system is going to do is it is going to wait for either my home is visible, or if my home is not visible for 20 seconds, it will continue. So it will never going to wait for lifetime. It is keep checking if my home is visible. The moment it is visible, it could be visible at 10 seconds or 11 seconds, 12 seconds, it will come out. And if not, then it will wait max up to 20 seconds to come out. And this is the more dynamic programming which you can do with Java Selenium, so that you can wait for certain elements to be visible or your page to be loaded, and make sure that once your page is ready, only then you go ahead and do your further processing. Okay, so last time we saw the issue, it was not working. Yeah, but now we will go ahead and check how it works. So what I've also done here is I have added here the all element dot get 0th item of click. So I'm just going to perform a click on the first tile, the first element, which is it is finding. So let's save and run this, and now we'll see if the system will work as expected due to this dynamic wait or not. So let's go back. You also can download this complete source code which I've done here from the description of this video, so that you can also test this with respect to your Launchpad by changing this code accordingly. So now you can see it is past the logon page and it's kind of waiting for my home to be visible. Only once my home is visible, system is going to process the further logic. So it's still waiting, and there you go, my home is visible. Hopefully that was before 20 seconds. I think it's still waiting. Or yes, I think it has clicked on the tile. I can see that there is a click which was performed. Yes, there you go. And you can see it is now navigating to my tile, which is an analytic app design in S4. And there you go. You can see finally my Fiori app is launched with the Design Studio, Consumption, CDS View for Sales Analytics. And now, of course, you can see the data over here manually. But the idea is to basically launch the tile or click on the tile and launch our application here. So With that, it's a wrap on today's session. I hope you enjoyed this session, and especially the dynamic wait until certain elements are not visible. System is not going to continue and process your code. With that, Anubhav signing out. Please feel free to subscribe this channel, hit the like button, and also leave your comments below on the comment box. And I will see you in the next session.